Oh hey, it's Emily, and today I'm going to be kicking off a series of videos that are talking about just a general series update. The series that I've completed in 2021, the series that I'm in the middle of, and the ones that I'm caught up with, and there are more books to be published, and as well as looking forward to some of the series that I am most highly anticipating starting maybe next year. So yeah, I'm very excited to kick off this series of videos. I love checking in on where I am with series. I'm pretty good about sticking to a series and finishing out if I'm enjoying it. So it's always fun for me to just kind of look back and see how far I've come with some series, how many there are still that I need to finish. Anyway, I am probably just going to leave the names and author of the series listed below. It's going to take quite a bit for me to find images of all of these series, and there are quite a few that I read on audio. I do have some physically, but there are quite a few I read on audio, and frankly I'm just not feeling 100% today, so I didn't want to collect all of the books and I don't want to find all of the images. I need to get this edited and in the process of uploading relatively quickly, and as I said, not feeling 100%, so editing Emily is probably going to be lazy and is probably just going to want to list the series below in case you want to find out more information about them. You know, we do what you gotta do, and the show must go on. We're working with what I've got today, and I'm doing my best, but anyway, I'm just gonna jump into today's video, which is the series that I have completed in 2021, and I believe this is relatively close to the order I actually finished them. I tried to keep them in order. So let's jump into the first one, and that is the An Ember in the Ashes series by Sabaa Tahir. And this is a really fun series. I love the first one. It changes direction quite a bit, or there are completely new elements that are added throughout the series. I did like this series though, and I did really like this conclusion to the series as well. And it came out, the final book of this quartet came out last December, and my hold from my library came in January. So this was actually one of the first books I finished this year. As I said, really enjoyed this series. This follows a couple of different groups. You have the scholars, and Laia is one of the scholars. Her brother has been taken and imprisoned, and she is trying to get him released because she doesn't feel that he deserves, and all of her people who are being targeted don't deserve to be in prison. You've got the other group who's kind of in charge at this point, and in order to get her brother out of prison, she works with a rebel group and goes undercover at the military academy for kind of the people that are in charge, and meets Elias, one of our other main characters, who is the son of the head of this military academy but doesn't really like what his people are doing to the scholars. And it takes off from there. It's wonderful. I really enjoyed this series a lot. I also finished, I don't think there's going to be any more. I'm not entirely sure. I thought this was just going to be a trilogy and then a fourth one was announced, so who knows. But I have read all of the books at the very least in the Graceland Realm series by Kristen and Cashore. This is one of my favorite series, and this is currently 4 books. Again, I don't know if there are going to be any more. I haven't seen any others be announced or anything, but this is a series of 4 companion novels really, and the first one follows Katsa, and in her part of the world, if you are graced or you have a special ability, then you have 2 different color eyes and you have that special skill. Hers is killing, and she is the niece of the king who kind of uses her ability to his advantage, and she doesn't want to do that anymore. You also follow in the second book Fire, a different part of this world, and in the third book Bitter Blue you actually meet a character that you meet in the first book, or you follow a character that you meet in the first book, and you get more of her story kind of after the events of the first book. And then you also, in the most recent book that I read this year, Winterkeep, you also follow Bitter Blue going to a different part of this world for political reasons, and you follow a new main character. You don't really follow Bitter Blue as much in that one. You do follow a new main character who's trying to navigate the politics of that situation and help Bitter Blue out. Anyway, it's a fabulous series. I absolutely love her writing. I love this world. I always have such a good time with these. I also basically marathoned the Lord of the Rings series, including The Hobbit. So I started with The Hobbit and then went into the trilogy, or the single book that was published as 3. And yeah, I absolutely love the Lord of the Rings, and this is by J.R.R. Tolkien, of course. And I will actually leave my vlog that I did, a dedicated vlog to my thoughts on this one, so I'm not going to go into detail here because I think a lot of people know what the series is about, and I have my thoughts there, so I'm just going to link that video below. I also finished the Fable duology. This is Fable and Namesake by Adrienne Young. I absolutely loved this duology. This is a kind of pirate sea based duology that is perfect for the summertime, and you follow Fable, who was abandoned by her father and on an island, and she needs to dredge for Pyre in order to get the money to actually get off this island and go find him and figure out why he abandoned her. And you also figure out what's going on with her mother, and she has a romance with the pirate captain along the way, and you just figure out more and more about this world. And it's a pretty short duology, but I had such a fun time with this one. Very entertaining for me. And I also read Ready Player 2, and so Ready Player 1 is a series, and that had a second book come out relatively recently, and I absolutely loved the first one. I understand the problems with it, but absolutely had such an entertaining time with the first one. And you follow a young kid who, it's set in the future on Earth. It's set in the 2040s, the 2050s, and Earth has kind of gone to shit, and he lives in what are called the stacks, which is basically stacks of trailers. And his escape is going into this virtual world called the Oasis. The creator of the Oasis is actually wanting to give away his money after he dies, and so he establishes this kind of treasure hunt throughout the Oasis in order to actually give away his inheritance. And you continue this story right after the first one leaves off. The first one you can just read by itself. You don't really need to read the second one in terms of having a complete story for the first one. And you definitely, I like the first one more than the second, but I still did have a really entertaining time with the second one, which I think is a less common opinion. There were so many just quirky and fun elements to the second one that I did really enjoy, and I kind of enjoyed where the story went, even though you like the characters less in the second one, I'll say. At least I did. So anyway, but you get added elements to the world and you continue the story of the characters, and yeah. I also marathoned the Acotar Trilogy, the original trilogy. I hopefully soon will be reading the novella and then be able to continue on with the Court of Silver Flames. Once again, I did a reading vlog for this, so I'm not going to say much because, again, this is a popular series that I feel like is widely known, and I have a whole vlog dedicated to it. It's a fae romance series. So I'll just leave the name and Sarah J. Maas's name below, and you can find out more or watch my thoughts in the vlog that I will also link below. I also continued on with, again, I'm not sure if there are going to be any more in this one. I think this is the final book in the Wayfarer series that's going to be written, but I'm not sure. Maybe there are going to be more, but I did read the 4th book in the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers, and this is, again, a series of 4 companion novels that follow a whole cast of characters in different parts of this world. It's a very character-driven, very soft sci-fi that really just explores relationships and explores a whole bunch of just what it means to care for other people, what it means to be connected to other people, and you just follow a series of characters living their lives in different parts of this world and on different planets or on different ships, and it's fabulous. It's so fabulous. I love it. It's definitely not plot driven. There's not huge action. It's not a space opera by any means, and so if that's not your cup of tea, totally understandable. But if you do like character driven stories and you're wanting to get into sci-fi, would highly recommend this series. I also finished the Southern Reach trilogy that starts with Area X, and this is by Jeff Vandermeer. I liked the first one. I didn't like the second two as much, and those are the ones I believe that I read this year. I think I read Area X last year, if I remember right. But I didn't like the next two as much. And maybe I just need to take it more slowly or read it physically. And the narrator was good. It's not that I didn't enjoy the narrator or enjoy the production of the audiobook, but I just was getting confused in the second and third one, like more and more confused as the story went on. And so, you know, maybe I just need to take it more slowly and I'll enjoy it. But this follows Area X, which is an area that has kind of undergone some environmental degradation. It's a hazardous area, and a group of female scientists goes, and they're the 12th expedition of scientists to actually go into this area to kind of figure out what's going on. And you follow their story and the story of other people in this world who are trying to figure out what's going on with Area X. So definitely an intriguing premise, and again, I had fun with the first one. But I also read the second book in the Hollow Crowns duology that starts with Incendiary, and then you have Illusionary, and this is by Zoraida Cordova. And I had a really fun time with this duology. This is a kind of Spanish-inspired world. It's kind of set vaguely historically, but it's unclear exactly. It's a fantasy world, so it's not like a specific time in Spain or anything, but it's definitely a you know, inspired by that culture, kind of in a vaguely historical time period. And you follow a group of people who have various magical abilities. People with magic are being targeted, and you follow a character who was raised for some years in the palace, and then was rescued by the rebellion and needs to go back undercover in the palace in order to find out more information about a weapon, a potential new weapon that's being developed to help target the rebellion and target people with magic. And so I thought it was a super entertaining duology. Had a really fun time with it. Not a super fast-paced duology, but I had a fun time just exploring this world, getting to meet these characters, and kind of a fast conclusion, but again, I had a good time with this one. I also read the A Study in Charlotte series, and this is by Brittany Cavallaro, and this is a super fun modern day retelling or reimagining of Sherlock Holmes, and you follow present day. If Sherlock and Watson and the Moriartys were real, you follow their descendants and their families in present day. So you follow Charlotte Holmes and Jamie Watson, who are at school together and ultimately meet there and need to solve some mysteries. And of course it entangles their families. It also entangles the Moriarty family. And you just get a fun adventure. And there's also some romance between Charlotte and Jamie that I honestly thought was really, really precious. I really liked them. So, you know, it was a fun time. I feel like if you like Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, I feel like you'll really like this. Or if you're just interested in a fun YA modern retelling of Sherlock Holmes, give it a go. I thought it was fun. I also finished the Bone Crier's Moon duology, and this is by Kathryn Purdie, and this one follows a world where there are bone criers who have the ability to help ferry the dead into the place that they're supposed to go in the afterlife, but in order to actually use this magic they need to go through a ceremony, and in this ceremony they need to sacrifice their one true love. And so of course, you know, you follow a couple of bone criers who are about to be going through this process, and in this ceremony for one of them things go wrong, and you also follow the person that she supposedly lured, who wants to get revenge on the bone criers for killing his father, and their stories get entangled. I had a really fun time with this one. Again, I thought the world was super atmospheric, and you're dealing with, you know, bone magic, you're dealing with people being ferried you know, ferrying the souls of the dead. So it's a perfect one for fall. I think this duology I think is perfect for fall. I just enjoyed the vibes. I enjoyed the world. Some of the characters can be a little melodramatic sometimes, but honestly just super entertaining. I also finished the Grisha trilogy. I have yet to start the Six of Crows duology, but hopefully I can do that in the new year. And I want to do that and then watch the show. And you know, I had a fun time with this one. This one wasn't my favorite, I think, YA series that I read this year. I did really enjoy the first one, and the second and third one were fine. I kind of lost interest just a little bit from the first one, and you know, it was still fun to follow our main character, Alina Starkov, and she figures out that she has magical abilities, and she discovers this when she's in an area of the world called the Fold, which is kind of this area of darkness, and there are different vicious magical creatures in this area, and so she wants to use her magic to help fight this kind of dangerous area in her world and help people. And so she goes to the palace in order to be trained in her magic to hopefully be able to do that. Things get complicated. She's trying to figure out who she can trust, and she needs to kind of figure out how she can accomplish her task. And, you know, again, fun time. I think I was most entertained by the first one. But, you know, overall, solid YA series. The last one I want to talk about is The People You Meet in Heaven. I'm not sure the series name, but it's The 5 People You Meet in Heaven and the Next Person You Meet in Heaven, and this is by Mitch Albom. It's a couple of just really short novels, or longer than a novella, kind of a shorter novel length book, and the first one follows Eddie, who is someone who works in maintenance at an amusement park, and the story starts with him dying. And after he dies, he meets 5 people who he had some sort of interaction with on Earth, or had influenced him, or who he had influenced in some way during his time on Earth. And they're there to help teach him a few lessons about his life and put his life and some different aspects of his life into perspective that maybe he hadn't gotten closure on. And in the second one, The Next Person You Meet in Heaven, you follow one of the characters you meet in the first book, and you follow their story. And I think I really enjoyed both of these. They are, again, as I said, short books, and I think they don't try to do too much. They're pretty straight and to the point, and don't try to add any fluff, I guess you could say. They just try to jump right in. You meet the people, you learn the lessons, and it's just a nice short reflection on what in life matters, who matters, and what you can do to prioritize those things, and just kind of keep those things in mind as you're going through life. And I thought they were really sweet and precious stories, and I had a really good time with them. So those are all of the series that I was able to finish, at least as of today, December 13th, filming this. So, you know, maybe I've got a little bit on deck for December, but I don't think much of it includes series. I'm going to continue with the A Court of Thorns and Roses novella, as I mentioned, but so I'll be continuing with that one, but I'm separating it from the original trilogy for some reason. But I think that's the only... I'm also currently reading the Montegue Sibling series, and so I'm not sure if the most recent release in that one, A Nobleman's Guide to Scandals and Shipwrecks by Mackenzie Lee, I'm not sure if that's the last one. But if it is, then when I finish that audiobook, I will be wrapped up with that series, so I can briefly mention that here. And that one, I love this series. It's a series of companion novels, and there's one novella as well. And it follows a set of siblings and their adventures. They're in historical England, and they need to go on different adventures, each for different reasons, and there are magical elements added. I think all of these books are queer, in some way, shape, or form, or include a bunch of queer characters. And so it's a fun queer historical set of novels that include just whimsy and adventure and some fantastical elements thrown in there as well. Super fun series. So in that vein, there's also one more that I think I can mention, and that is the Well Met series. So it's Well Met, Well Played, Well Matched by Jen De Luca, and this is a series of, again, companion romance novels that center around a group of characters and a Renaissance fair. Super fun. I've really loved the first one. I appreciated the second one, but it included an element that I didn't really like. But I have high hopes that I'm really going to enjoy the third one. And I do have the third one out on my audio, or out from my library on audio, as I said. So depending on how soon I can actually get to that one, that also could be another series that I'm wrapping up in 2021. So I'll put those as caveats at the end here just in case. But thank you so much for watching. Let me know what series you've read this year. I would love to know, or if you like reading series. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more bookish content and for all of the videos that I'll be making throughout the month of December and in early January as kind of a wrap up to the year and looking forward to next year. And I will leave my Twitter and Instagram link down below. That's where I like to hang out. And I will of course leave more information about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.